Prohibition is not stopping the 20s from roaring.
The 1920s were a whole new age in America. Everything changed. The war had just ended and we were celebrating. The economy was roaring again and women were finding a little bit more freedom. There was smoking, there was drinking, there was more racial mixing. There were clubs where you could go and hear black music for the first time and whites and blacks were mingling. It was a sense that the country was really coming alive.
Jazz was being recorded for the first time. You could buy a record of jazz music.
Prohibition becomes a time when the arts come alive.
I think that's one of the most important legacies of Prohibition. My name is Cassandra Wilson, and I am a musician. I first heard the name Al Capone from my father. My father was born in Chicago Heights in 1918. So he came of age during the Prohibition era.
Because Prohibition, which was meant to sort of tamp down all this enthusiasm to make us a more sober country, really had the opposite effect. It made us all more daring. We all wanted to go out and break these laws. Everybody still wanted to drink, and now drinking was illegal. It was sexier than ever.
From all over the Midwest, thirsty citizens are flocking to Al Capone's Chicago speakeasies for the alcohol, the women, and the music.
If it hadn't been for Al Capone, I don't think jazz would have flourished the way that it did in Chicago. That's a pivotal moment in the evolution of jazz, when musicians like Louis Armstrong go to Chicago and they have these speakeasies to play in, and they have a protector, they have a patron in Al Capone. Because if you don't have that environment to grow in, then the music just goes away.
Al Capone is providing African-American musicians opportunities in his clubs that are not available elsewhere.
The speakeasies were the place where jazz is able to bloom. It's able to blossom inside of this environment. It's not played anywhere else in polite society. So people, in order to hear the music, have to come to the speakeasies.
The Chicago speakeasies helped launch the careers of legendary singers like Helen Ward, Anita O'Day, and Billie Holiday.
There were so many new clubs, there was so much money going around that guys like Capone could employ fantastic musicians. They didn't care about the old codes, they didn't care about mixing of the races. So I think that the music flourished in a lot of these clubs that were operated by guys like Capone.
Capone is not just a patron of jazz, he is its guardian.
Louis Armstrong was playing one of the speakeasies, and he left the bandstand. Someone took his trumpet. Now, if you can imagine, that's the worst thing that can happen. You know, this is like a prized possession, a prized instrument. So the word got around and it got to Al Capone. And the next day, the instrument was returned.